Hello and welcome to another World of Warcraft video. In this video we're going to be talking about leveling from level 60 to level 70. Now before you begin, or obviously just before you kind of start, there's a couple of things you're going to want to consider before you kind of begin your journey into Dragonflight. So when you have a level 60 character, one of the things you're going to want to consider is heirloom gear. So having heirloom gear will help you to kind of combat any difficulty curves and gear spikes. This is obviously going to be relatively helpful for you as a character. So heirloom gear, if you need help with that, I will leave a link in the top right hand corner, but obviously it is something that does help you quite a bit. Alongside that, also Dark Moon Fair. If you are running the event or you're leveling, you can get the Dark Moon Fair buff. This will give you a 10% EXP bonus, which is going to be relatively helpful. You're also going to want to consider things like War Mode, which will be incredibly helpful overall, and making sure that you have the correct talents and making sure that you have professions, preferably either double gathering or if you're able to craft your own gear, crafting. Depending on how rich you are on other ults, etc. Also, not to mention, this is talking about a character through adventure mode, assuming you have already completed the grind of the main quest on one main character. If you haven't, your first character in Dragonflight should always be to finish the main quest. Before we begin, you will not be going through Veldraken or to the Dragon Isles through the To the Isles quest, at least not now. You're going to be saving that for a little bit later. So don't start through there. Make sure that you go through the portal that is accessible through Stormwind or Orgrimmar. Okay, that's kind of the main thing. Alright, and then finally, before we begin really in full, just add-ons that you may want to consider. So just to kind of give you guys a bit of helpful advice, basically the add-ons you may want to consider is Help Me Play. This is a very helpful add-on that allows you to auto-buy quest items, auto-handing quests, etc. TomTom, Paste, and also BTW quests, which is great. Basically shows you where all these side quests and different quest arcs are in Dragonflight. Okay, so those are basically the only ones you need for leveling. Obviously you can customize them as to however you want. You don't have to technically run these add-ons. Obviously, I find them to be relatively helpful. But yeah, you don't have to run these add-ons, but you can. They do help you out a lot. And generally speaking, they are very, very good sources of EXP. So yeah. And that is basically it when it comes to your prep work. Macros, everything like that, you can all set up. But once you're done with the add-ons, once you set up with heirloom gear, and once you've obviously considered your Dark Moon Fair buffs, you're basically ready to go. And obviously, finally, last thing to mention is War Mode. It's going to be something that, generally speaking, is going to be pretty helpful for you. Especially if you're on a server where you're on the dominant faction, then having War Mode is going to be something that's definitely more helpful than it is a hindrance. And yeah, that is literally it for leveling. So obviously to start your adventure, as I mentioned, you're going to take the portal, and this is going to take you to Thaldraszus and the obviously city of Veldraken, which is the main hub. The first couple levels are pretty simple. So the easiest way to do this is actually gathering and crafting. I know it seems very, very lame, but basically gathering and crafting is going to be the fastest way to get yourself from around level 60 to level 61.5. Obviously, before you kind of begin, make sure that you obviously have your Dragonflight mount, and make sure that you obviously have opened up all of its talents to expand it to have its full range of flying. And once you're in Veldraken, you basically immediately, if you don't have professions, want to head towards the gathering and crafting sections. Now, I suggest taking crafting if you are going to be either a blacksmith, tailorer, or leather worker for your appropriate class, because not only can you rapidly increase your EXP by crafting a lot of armor-based items, but you can also craft armor that actually helps you later on, or will help you replace your heirloom gear. If, of course, you are someone who doesn't feel like doing that, or you have heirloom gear, then consider just taking double gathering. while you are gathering throughout Dragonflight or the Dragon Isles, you can consider doing world quests, although this is more from around level 61.5 or level 62. So you don't really want to do any of these, and you don't want to do any of the Dragon Race quests. But generally speaking, to cut a long story short, gathering and crafting is going to easily get you from level 60 to 61.5. Honestly, nowadays it's super cheap. For literally around 4,000 gold, you can basically guarantee yourself the level, and you're basically ready, set, and good to go. One thing I will mention, obviously if you are someone that is obviously doing the crafting aspect, please understand the main EXP that comes from this is going to be from crafting first-time recipes. So this is obviously something that's super important, and is obviously paramount to the amount of EXP you gain. If it's not a first-time recipe, you're unfortunately not going to have as good a time or as quick a level gain as you might have. So that is just something I will mention, basically. But yes, to cut a long story short, I think that basically sums up level 61. And just to special mention, there is an alternative. You can do time walking dungeons if it is a time walking period. These are great EXP, a little bit more RNG dependent, but they will be great for your first level because they are usually quick and they provide a significant bonus at the end. So you can do time walking dungeons, especially if you have guildies or friends that are going to help you out. They're going to be great for the first couple levels. From level 61.5 roughly to around level 63, you're going to want to take the tier Inquisition quests. These quests are basically to get your sparks of innovation, and you can use these for crafting later on, but more importantly, these quests are very decent EXP and they require you to go to certain areas. You're going to want to finish these quests at the 4th step, which basically will require you to essentially wrap everything up and do a dungeon. So you don't want to do that dungeon, you want to just do these quests. And while you're doing these quests, what you want to do is you want to do world quests along the way and continue gathering or crafting, etc. So the reason you're doing the tier quests is to give you some kind of guidance, and also to give you these sparks of innovation. Generally speaking, you, along the route to each of these quests, want to pick up world quests, and that's basically it. It's really nothing too wild. You don't need to get too deep into it, but you definitely do want to finish the quests up till the dungeon quest. You don't want to do the dungeon quest. We're not doing any Dragonflight dungeons here. So we're doing absolutely none of the Dragonflight dungeons. It's not worth our time, so please don't do it. It's not worth your time, basically, to cut a long story short. So yeah, beyond that, pretty straightforward. Now, that is or will bring you to around level 63, and at around level 63 to 63 and a bit, depending on war mode, depending on your EXP. But once you've basically done a couple world quests and you've brought yourself to the point of that dungeon, you should be at around level 63, and you should be ready to go and start Azure Span. Now, Azure Span is going to be the biggest section of your leveling. You're going to want to basically, at this point, do this entire area. And this is where BTW quests is really going to come in handy, because you're going to want to do the quests in a certain order. But you're basically doing this whole zone. Pretty much all of the main campaign quests and pretty much all of the main side quests are going to be done here. Not to mention, during this time, you can pick up helpful world quests. You want to use TomTom and Paste to make sure that you plug in quite a few rares. The reason being is you want to be hunting rares throughout this whole process. So there are a couple great guides for where all the rares are. I have left a link in the description for a whole bunch of TomTom Paste tokens for rares and treasures in Dragonflight. So you can copy and paste all of those using Paste, using TomTom, and along the way pick up all those rares, because rares are worth a lot of EXP. And so having them in will help you out quite a bit. But yeah, basically you're going to follow the campaign. It's going to bring you to Camp Antonidas. You're going to complete all the side quests here and the main story quests. And just as you're about to speak to Kalagos, you're going to want to skip ahead. And by skip ahead, I mean you're going to want to pause. We don't want to speak to Caligos. We want to go do pretty much all of the main side quests along the right-hand side of the map. So if you open up your map with BTW quests, you will see quite a few quest options that appear. And we are going right up to the very top to start the quest lines up there, and we're going to work our way slowly down. So you can see me starting to work my way up through the Azure Span, but you're doing all these side quests along the right-hand side here. You're starting at the very, 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 very top over there with obviously the available quests there being Wayward Tools, and then you're going to move down to Prowling Polar Opposites, to 101 Field Medic, Ailing Assistant, all the way down to the Broken Lines there. You're then going to unlock some more quests along the way. Please make sure you do that. And yeah, that's basically everything you're going to do. Once you've cleared all those side quests, we will then finally return to Caligos in the Camp Antonidas. So it's very, very important that once you finish those side quests, you are going to want to go back to Camp Antonidas and restart your campaign with Caligos, which will then move you to the left-hand side of the map. Now, once you get to the left-hand side of the map, things are going to change a little bit. You're not going to do as many side quests. You're going to be a bit more selective about which ones you do. One thing I will mention, you do just want to be very specific. When you take Grim Tusk's quests, which is on the right-hand side of the map, he asks you a couple fishing quests. You're going to want to save some of them. They will send you around the map, and you can complete them as you want with the rest of the order here. So yeah, you're going to continue the campaign. It's going to start taking you to the left-hand side of the quest line and kind of guide you down to the Iskara over there. The reason we're doing Azure Span is because it's very quest dense. There's a huge amount of quests that you can do here. You want to avoid wastewater cleanup for the most part, but you want to make sure that you unlock all of the bonus objectives. So you're going to avoid wastewater cleanup, but you are going to take the rot side quests and the side quests at the top left-hand side of the map, so just above the objective. After you've done those, and once the main quest line brings you down to the Iskara village, you're then going to take a whole bunch of quests in the Iskara village, and you're going to complete all of them. The only ones you want to avoid when you get to the Iskara village are the wanted quests and the dungeon quests. You want to definitely avoid these. You don't want to do them. Again, we're not doing dungeons, and the wanted quest is a little bit too far out the way. It's just not worth the time. Of course, you can do these. It's not necessary, but it's something that you're going to want to do. And then, well, not want to do, because it is going to be less time efficient. And then, yeah, that's basically it. You're going to continue the campaign right up until the very end when it brings you back to Camp Antonidas, and you're going to stop at at the last part of the storyline. Just before it asks you to basically wrap up the entire storyline and fight the dragon, you should be around level 67-ish, around 67.5. If you get to 67.5 early, you can stop the quest line. If you don't, you can obviously just continue through it. So it's just going to be up to you. But yeah, super duper easy. And from there, we're going to go on to our next phase, which is going to be level 67 to level 68.5. Now this is where we're going to kind of kick in with the To the Dragon Isles. Remember the quest that we should have done in the very beginning? Well, now we're going to do it now. And basically what you want to do is you want to take this quest and finish and do the intro area into the Dragon Isles, because this area is very quest dense. Obviously being an intro area, they fill it with quests, but it's also very easy quests, very quick quests. It's to up the tempo of the player, to really get them into the expansion, and it's going to serve as a great tempo breaker to really kind of pick up the pace and get us through this difficult phase, because at level 67 the game starts to ramp up a little bit. So if you're not rocking heirloom, if you're just rocking drop gear, you can be caught out a little bit on certain classes. But yeah, basically you're going to follow the campaign, finish all the intro quests, come to the Winged Crest Embassy, and you're going to do all the side quests here. We're a lot more selective with these side quests in Waking Shores. After we finish pretty much all the side quests at Winged Crest Embassy, we are now going to basically work our way through the campaign up until we get to the Ruby Life Pools. We are not concerned with anything else We are only concerned with the Ruby life pools, so realistically we're not too phased. You're basically just going to be doing the main campaign right up to the point where you get to Ruby life pools, and when you get to Ruby life pools, you're not going to do any side quests either. What you will be doing once you get to Ruby life pools is you will pretend that you're a new player, and you will instigate the dragon riding lesson quests. So the dragon riding lesson quests are basically a series of 4 to 5 quests where they teach you dragon riding. The reason you're going to take these is for a couple reasons. One, it's incredibly quick, easy EXP. And 2, it's going to take you over to the dragon customization zone. And this is going to really kind of give you access to the dragon riding quests, which you're going to want to take as well. And this is going to be how you level from level 68.5 to level 70. So once you get here, you can do all the easy little quests for upgrading your dragon, customizing your dragon, getting a dragon talent token and all that stuff. And that's basically going to give you the XP you need. You're going to finish the dragon or the Waking Shores campaign right up until the point where you do the Rathian section. That's basically going to be where you kind of call it, because it's not really necessary to do that section. Although it's pretty decent EXP, it's not entirely necessary. And finally, the way to kind of ding 70 is going to be dragon riding quests. Now, it's not the best way. You can do time walking dungeons as an option here. Like I mentioned, you can do the Rathian section of the Waking Shores quest line. But for me, it's the best way because it's the easiest and it's relatively quick, especially if you have a fully maxed dragon. So basically how it works is we haven't done any of the dragon riding world quests up till now. We have not done any dragon riding quests or dragon races at all. And you should have taken the grand tours from the dragon trainer at the dragon riding school, or the dragon pillar where you do the cosmetics in the Waking Shore. With the dragon riding quest, you get XP for the first time you clear it on normal, for the first time you clear it on advanced, and for the first time you clear it in reverse. So you get a lot of XP. I think each one gives you around half a quest's worth of XP. So finishing all 3 of the races gives you basically 1.5, almost 2 quests worth of EXP. They're super duper quick. They count towards these large quests, which give about 3 quests worth of EXP. And most of them, or at least 1 or 2 in each zone, will also have an actual world quest tied to them, which will drop a whole quest worth of EXP. So not only are you getting 1.5 world quests, roughly, or almost 2 world quests, or sorry, 2 quests worth of EXP for every 3 races that you do, but you're also going to be getting an additional quest drop from finishing the world quest, and you're going to be working towards these greater goals here. Not to mention you'll grab some money, items, and basically just get yourself kind of set up on your character. Now, it's not the most ideal way. If you're not into dragon riding for whatever crazy reason, you're not going to be into this method of leveling. But it is the easiest way, it's the most casual way, and it's also the most carefree way to do it near the end of max level. So that's basically it. Again, time walking is a very valid option at this point. The main reason being is the gear curve's not so bad for you, and generally you should be in a pretty good space. But yeah, that's basically going to be it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you've got any queries or questions, please leave them in the comments, leave a like, let me know. I'd love to hear it. And yeah, you can always do other world quests as well, but generally speaking, I find that this is the best method. At least for me, I found it to be the most relaxing, and it's the easiest to do on all your ults, especially if you get a bit of practice at it. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching. Good luck in leveling, and I'll see you guys next time. But until then, as always, bye.